Great. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. I'm just going to start off by reading the accessibility and non-discrimination notice. The Old Colony Planning Council, including the CEDS committee, assure that no person shall be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be otherwise discriminated against under any of its programs and activities. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities and those with limited English proficiency. Accessibility accommodations and language services will be provided free of charge upon request as available. Our full policies are available at www.ocpcrpa.org. Any person who feels their protections have been violated may file a written complaint within 180 days to Mary Waldron at mwaldron@ocpcrpa.org or Old Colony Planning Council, 70 School Street, Brockton, Mass. 02301. So with that, Joanne, do you want to call the roll?
Yep, I'll do that quickly. John Murray.
Here.
Mary Ellen Brett, not here. She sends her apologies. Jason Hunter.
Here.
Chris Cooney. Not here. Pam McCarthy.
Yes, here.
Rob May sent his apologies, so we have John Fay in his place. John. Excellent. Stephanie Danielson, not here. Mary Ellen Desprayas.
Here.
And I don't think, and Jay, I see Jay is on here as well. Jennifer Dubois-Brion.
Here.
Am I saying your last name right?
Yep.
Okay, good. No Shane O'Brien. Val Massard, I don't see her on. Lee Filson, I don't see Lee. Michael Lambert is not on, but we have Joseph Meck.
I am filling in for Michael.
Thank you, Joseph. Joseph, do you go by Joseph or do you prefer Joe?
Joe's good.
Joe's good. Okay, welcome, Joe. Deborah Roberts.
Here.
Stephen Cole is missing, and Jack Riley.
Here.
Great, thank you all. So we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you, Joanne. Joanne had sent out the meetings from the March 8th meeting with the agenda. If people have had a chance to review those minutes, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I just had one recommended change. There's just a small typo. The second to last paragraph should say there were no member updates instead of the.
Thank you.
And that was it. Everything else was good.
Okay, thank you, Pam. I'm making that change. Is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, who was the second?
It was either myself or I think
Jack.
Jason.
Jason,
Yeah.
Jack, yep.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. Joanne, did you want to talk about the committee membership update?
Yeah, I'll keep this super brief because we're running late. Basically, the June OCPC annual meeting is coming up, so I'll be reaching out to everybody individually just to reconfirm that you want to continue on for the next year. So please, when I send that email, just make sure that you reply to that. Kyle Huff of Swell Energy, who we talked about at our last meeting, will be up for appointment at that meeting as well. So I know he's going to join us for 12:30 today, but the next time we have a meeting, he'll be an official member. And that will leave us with 3 vacant seats that I'm still currently working on. So we talked about getting somebody from NeighborWorks Housing Solutions, Trisha White, as well as potentially Melissa Ferretti from the Herring Pond Wampanoag tribe. So hopefully we'll get those folks on board for the next meeting. Laura Buckley from the South Shore Workforce Investment Board also expressed an interest in joining. In our bylaws, we have 19 members. So I'm going to propose that we amend those bylaws at our next meeting to allow for more members to join now that we have more interest. But we don't need to decide that today. And also Vinny DiMacedo from Bridgewater State University has been recommended to join too. So that would, all these people would bring us up to 21 members. But I ask folks, have a think about other people that you think should be on the committee, so that when we do talk about amending the bylaws to add more members, we can figure out how many more we want, or even remove the cap entirely if that's what we want to do. So that's all I've got on the membership. Any questions about that?
Joanne, I just wanted to jump in for a sec because this will be my last meeting. I will be leaving Mass Development at the end of the month, but I'm going to GATRA.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. I just got off a meeting with them. I would be interested in having at least someone from my team participate so that we can work with that on covering transportation issues. So that offer is out there, and I will send you an email once I have my new email set up.
Awesome. That sounds good. And so is there going to be somebody else from Mass Development taking your place, or are we just gonna?
We're working on that. So Jay's here now, but they are working on filling my position maybe even before I leave.
Okay. Sounds good. Congratulations again, Mary Ellen. That's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions or comments on that? No. Okay, John, over to you.
Great, thank you. Did you want to continue, Joanne, with the webinar update?
Yep. So we have 3 webinars planned for the rest of this year. Let me just share my screen here, and that way people can look at. So we had talked at our last meeting about the webinar, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. So we're thinking of doing the next webinar focused around that. Let me share the screen. Is everybody able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, super. So we have 3 left. So the tentative date for our next webinar is July 12th. We might move that depending on availability of speakers and things, but that's what it is at the moment. So the proposed topic is the bipartisan infrastructure law. And the webinar would be a bit longer than a normal webinar. So we're thinking 2 to 2.5 hours, but structured in such a way that people can choose to participate in the whole thing or just come in for specific sessions that are of interest to them. At previous CEDS meetings, there was a lot of interest in doing a webinar on using infrastructure to drive economic development, so kind of a broader topic. And there was also interest in understanding more how the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization works and how municipalities can work with the MPO at OCPC to get their transportation projects on the Transportation Improvement Plan. So we were thinking of rolling all of these things up into one kind of infrastructure webinar and trying to do it as a hybrid event so that we could have folks who want to come in person do that or join virtually. The next webinar is tentatively scheduled for October 4. There was discussion at previous meetings about water and sewer, so we thought we could do a webinar on collaborating regionally on water and sewer. And then the November webinar, tentatively scheduled for November 8th, again on a topic that's been brought up many times before, attracting good developers to your community. And that's kind of a very broad topic, so as we get closer to the time, we can unpack that a little bit more to see which aspects of that people are most interested in. So that's our proposal for the rest of the year's webinars. The other topics that have been brought up that I have noted are revitalization of downtowns and main streets, writing winning grants, arts and culture / tourism as an economic development driver, and then the property assessed clean energy program at Mass Development. That one we're actually going to be tackling through a Green Communities webinar either this year or early next year. So I suggest that we don't do that one as part of CEDS, but the other ones or any others that folks might want to see are definitely, game for this year. So I just wanted to get folks' thoughts and ideas on what you think about this, and in particular, the one for July and August, because that's the one that I need to start planning now. No, does it sound good? Anybody think we should do something different for the next webinar?
I think it sounds good, Joanne.
Okay, super. So if anybody does have any other ideas for webinar suggestions, please shoot them my way. Otherwise, me and the team at OCPC will start planning the July one. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is member updates. So anybody has any updates they'd like to share with the committee? I can start off. I'll just speak from the workforce side, and I don't know if Jason has anything to add, but the state workforce system has received some of the funding through the American Recovery Act funds that came into the state. So a good portion of that is being funneled through the vocational technical schools throughout the state to provide a number of different training programs for job seekers. So we're in collaboration with Southeastern Regional. They're going to be providing some culinary arts training, a program that's going to start in July. And then in the fall, they'll be offering a welding training program. And same with South Shore Votech. They're going to be offering welding as well as automotive tech training. And that's just to start. I think this is going to be a 2-year program. So as I mentioned, it will be throughout the state. So all the Votech schools in the Southeast, I think, are pretty much involved with putting together plans to offer training to job seekers to help them upgrade their skills and hopefully move on to, a good vocation for themselves. So we're pretty busy with that right now. More to come. I think our WIOA funding, annual funding will be coming in the beginning of July. So there'll also be more training funds available for our job seekers on that front. And we continue to work with the businesses. At the Career Center right now, we have a lot of jobs from businesses. We're trying to find the people to help fill them. But that's pretty much been the case throughout the whole fiscal year. So hopefully, as things continue to progress with the pandemic, hopefully starting to slow down, things will return a little bit more to normal. But that's what's sort of happening on the workforce front.
Yeah, thank you, John. This is Jason at the board side. Nothing much to add to that side. I just want to let everyone know that our youth services program is now taking applications for summer jobs. If you have a youth that's interested in taking on a work experience out throughout the summer, please have them contact us. Visit the website at www.masshiregbwb.org or contact us here at the office directly. We are in the office 4 days a week, with Wednesdays being virtual, but still looking for youth to participate. As always, looking for employers to take youth. Just reach out to us if you have anyone interested, and we will get them squared away.
Great, thanks, Jason. Deborah, did you have a?
Yes, John, I did. Deborah from the town of Stoughton. I'm a member of the MMA, and we had our meeting today, and we had a short discussion on the impact of inflation and what towns are seeing. And it was just a debriefing session, and a lot of people said, a lot of representatives said that they're seeing diesel fuel increase up to 40%. Now we're seeing that personally in our gasoline prices, like $5 a gallon. But they specifically talked about waste management. They talked about labor contracts or asking for renegotiations for price adjustments and new hires. They also talked a lot about how the price of projects are increasing. And they can't find a lot of developers or contractors to satisfy their projects to continue, because in the middle of a project, they're asking for increases. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of you on this call to see if you're experiencing that as well, and what are some workarounds. One of the things specifically that Stoughton is facing is our planning board has seen some movement. So people are leaving the town of Stoughton, so we have a couple of vacancies. And that leads me to the question, does your board committee, do you often advertise for positions on cities and towns, boards, commissions, and committees?
So Deborah, I can speak from the Career Center side. We certainly would take postings from the cities and towns to help get the word out for openings. So I can have somebody be in touch with you from the Career Center to talk to you about what those openings are. And we can get those posted for you for sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Because if one town faces something, I'm sure other towns too, especially those abutters, and we should work together. It's a collaborative effort.
Yes, I agree.
So very much.
Thank you. Does anybody Pam, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I don't know if it stayed up, but I just had a question related to what you said earlier, John. So if we end up talking to an employer that needs specific training for their employees, are businesses able to reach out to have the training tailored to their needs?
Yes. Actually, through that same funding, there's a different component to that funding that regionally, so this Southeast region through the Bristol County Workforce Board has hired a person that is there specifically to work with businesses around their training needs. And we can put you in touch with that person. Her name's Joanna Matus, but
Okay.
the company would want to be in touch, and you could work this through Jason, but we could put her in touch with the company and she'll go out and meet with them around their training needs. And her job is then trying to facilitate between a training vendor and the company. So it's specific.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great just to have the contact.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Pam, you can have them contact us. The fund that they're probably going to be looking to do, utilize is something called the Workforce Training Fund Program. And we have someone on staff here that is a bit of an expert on it. And it's something that they have to apply for, but it is money
Okay.
that's already paid into the system. So if you're a company and you pay unemployment benefits to your staff, they get, oh God, I don't know, 0.08 cents out of every hour or something.
Oh, all right.
It's an annual fund that, you're already paid into, so you might as well take advantage of it. Then depending on what training they're looking to do, there's a couple different ways to apply, but I can
All right.
certainly
That's
help you.
good to know. And do you know anything about the Hire Now program that was very popular that they ended up closing? They weren't accepting any more applications, but
Yeah.
they're giving a certain amount of money to businesses that hired people.
Yeah, so
They said it might open again. Did you know about that?
they have the last I've heard, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, they had, I think, already put out close to, I forget the number, but they are looking to do it again. And they're looking to have it funded at a higher dollar
Okay.
amount for this fiscal year. There is no actual decision on that yet, but I think they saw how fast it went, and were fairly stunned at having to close it as early as they did.
Mhm.
It's an ongoing topic, so I'm sure it'll be funded. I would think it would be funded again, but I shouldn't say that
Okay.
out loud.
I know. I think.
Hit
I
the
think
pause,
so
hit the
too.
pause button on the recording.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Pam. Any other updates before we move on? Great, Dottie, at this time, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our guest.
Sure, thanks, John. So just to give you a little bit of background, the EDA had a $1 billion Build Back Better regional challenge, and they refer to it as the marquee of the American Rescue Plan programs that aim to boost economic recovery from the pandemic and rebuild American communities, including those grappling with decades of disinvestment. The challenge provides transformational investments to develop and strengthen regional industry clusters across the country, all while embracing equitable economic growth, creating good paying jobs, and enhancing US global competitiveness. So in October, the EDA announced that it received 529 applications from regions across all 50 states and 5 territories. And on December 6th, they announced that in the phase 1 finalists, there were 60 out of 529. Northeastern University is one of the phase 1 finalists, which was really exciting. And so they've developed an application for the phase 2 part of this, and that competition will ultimately award 20 to 30 regional coalitions between $25 and $100 million to implement 3 to 8 projects that support an industry sector. So I have a project description that I can put in the chat, and we can follow up with a lot of details, because what I would ask everyone to do is follow them on social media, really stay connected to BioConnect New England. And Dr. Jared Auclair is the Associate Dean of Professional Programs and Graduate Affairs for Northeastern University College of Science, an associate teaching professor for the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology, an adjunct PI at the National Institute of Bioprocessing Research and Training, NIBRT, in Ireland. And Jared leads the BioConnects New England Coalition. So a lot of great people working on this together across 3 states, Maine, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. And with that, Dr. Auclair, if you want to introduce a little bit more about the project and the exciting aspects around it.
Sure. Thanks, Dottie, and thanks everyone for having me today. I'm glad to be here with you. I debated back and forth in my head whether I was going to use slides, and I voted no slides because I'm more fun that way. So I'll just tell you a little bit about BioConnects New England and highlight some, I think, opportunities that I'd love to hear from you all about. So I think it's no secret for all of us who live here in Massachusetts that Cambridge and Kendall Square are the biotechnology hub of the world. No, I might not say that if I was in California, but I'll say that here. But one of the interesting things is, right, is the industry tends to cluster, and obviously Cambridge and Kendall Square is the largest cluster. But the challenge is, I don't want to drive into Cambridge. Other people don't want to drive into Cambridge. And Cambridge is really the research and development hub, right? There's a whole process to commercialization of drug products, and that's research and development to biomanufacturing at a process scale, a small scale, to large scale biomanufacturing at a commercial scale. So BioConnects New England aims to help bleed out those innovations from Cambridge and Kendall Square across the rest of Massachusetts, throughout Maine and Rhode Island. That's what I mean. But just as an asterisk, I put this there now. BioConnects New England, right, was born out of the grant application that Dottie mentioned. The long-term vision is that we extend to all 6 New England states and really focus on sort of this concept of bioinnovation and the bioeconomy. So more than just drugs, but also bioagriculture, biofuel, and other things. But for the context of what the coalition is starting to focus on, it's helping bleed out those innovations into a process scale manufacturing and a commercial scale manufacturing. So we get more products to patients through the valley of death, which is where products go to die usually, because they don't make it from research and development to full commercial scale. We can do that. We have to do that thoughtfully in what we consider to be a hub and spoke model, where we connect resources across the region to each other to really promote the growth of the industry. So we have key coalition member partners with Gloucester Marine and Genomics Institute, Mass Life Sciences Center, Northeastern, both in Boston, my labs in Burlington, Mass, and the Rue Institute of Northeastern, which is in Portland, Maine. Rhode Island Commerce, and Worcester Polytechnic Institute. And those are the core coalition members. We have several other partners from industry, academia, and government, including the UMass system and others, and have a pretty stellar advisory board, which Dottie has graciously agreed to help serve on. So super excited about that. It's focused on 3 main themed projects: workforce development and training. So, I don't know that it's any surprise to anyone, but the recent data suggests that even with the economy and sort of all over the place right now, we need between 40 and 50,000 new jobs in the biotech sector. People often will be talking about how we don't have those people in Massachusetts, which is 100% incorrect. We absolutely have those people in Massachusetts. We are just not engaging the communities outside of the, Northeasterns and Harvards and MITs to really promote the concept that really science is for everyone. People in the Bay State and around the country actually are, we'll have a conversation at a dining room table talking about what it means to become a medical doctor, but most people don't understand what it means to become a life scientist or a biotechnician. So really focusing on outreach and not outreach, engagement in that sense, right? And getting on the ground and talking to community leaders, talking to the communities themselves about what biotech is and what the opportunities are for people in that space. I mean, biotech historically is a snobby industry. I can say that because I live in it. But also, historically people, thought they needed a bachelor's degree to be successful in that case in the industry. And that's not the case, right? There's many entry-level jobs that post high school graduates can enter, or there's apprenticeship programs and other programs that we're trying to link together to really empower folks to get those jobs and go be successful in industry. I mean, these are jobs that entry-level jobs, biomanufacturing jobs that we're mostly focusing on, with salaries in the range of $60,000 per year, something like that. The actual numbers are on our webpage. So tremendous opportunity, but we need to go out and engage with the communities. Also thinking about how we get the industry to move into other communities and then bring those folks who live in those communities into the industry. That's one of the other things that we're working on. I think all of your communities are on the top of my radar to engage with and really see what we can do to help industry move in your directions and empower your populations to participate and work in the industry through engagement opportunities, where myself and others from the coalition would come or we can do it on Zoom actually. Zoom is great. Partner with folks and describe to them what biotech is, sort of demystify biotech and talk about the science being accessible to everyone. That's one of the main projects. One of the other main projects is thinking about entrepreneurship and supporting early stage companies and their growth through business mentorship or regulatory mentorship and different types of other mentorship. I mean, I always say I'm a scientist. I might have a great technology that I invented and started a company of me and 2 other people. And then, the first investor asked for a business plan and I crawl under the table and cry because I have no idea what that is. I mean, I know what a business plan is. I don't know how to write one or didn't. So really supporting those. Also prototyping and thinking about, are there new technologies that we can help prototype, whether they're sensors to improve the manufacturing process or processes themselves to improve the process of making drugs, and really promoting those with the lens towards diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? I mean, I think one of the most important things for the industry, stated by the industry, is to diversify the workforce. There's lots of practices that are antiquated and prevent that from happening in industry. So talking to them about that, talking to them industry about how you might retain that workforce. You can't just train them and hire them and say, okay, we're done. You might have just hired a single mother, which is awesome, but she has different needs than a traditional employee might have. And you have to realize that just because you gave them that $60,000 a year job, that you're not giving them $60,000 on day one. So it takes some time for life to catch up with people and for them to adapt and be able to solve some of their economic challenges that they might have. and really building that out as a strong, mental health, child care, transportation, all those great things. I mean, I myself support the Mass Bioed Apprenticeship Program training in my lab, and several people were going to BMS at Fort Devens, but had no way to get there, right? And that's something that we have to think about, and well, not Mass Bioed thought about it, but we think about and have to try to figure out how to solve. So using a hub and spoke model where we link all these training labs that exist across the region together to support all of those projects and really empower people, open the doors of those places to empower people to realize that science is accessible and science is for everyone. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. I mean, it's so simple to say science is for everyone, but getting people to buy into that and understand that is really more challenging, especially since scientists talk above most people. Like, let me tell you about this little thing on this other thing that nobody understands what words I'm saying, and like, that's not productive. So really thinking about how we can make the industry accessible to everyone, and actually, for my own learning as an academic, understanding the sort of economic development districts was part of one of the many amazing things that came out of this process for me, and then figuring out ways to engage with all of you to support our industry in your area. So really thinking about, do we can we come out and talk to the communities in Brockton or Bridgewater or Plymouth or all the others that are in your region, Abington, West Bridgewater, and really think about that and engage the community leaders and get them to understand what biotech is and how their parishioners or others might be able to take part in the industry. It's sort of thinking about the model that you might have seen that Boston Medical Center used to reduce vaccine hesitancy in the populations that they serve, really an outreach on the ground, get to know you sort of approach to making the industry accessible to everyone. And that at a high level is what we're trying to do. We received phase 1 funding, so we're doing that now. I'll be in DC tomorrow and the next day to try to get more funds from philanthropy and other government agencies. But regardless of what the funding landscape looks like, I'm committed to this. I told the EDA representatives in our virtual site visit that they'll probably never forget me because I said this. I said, I will die before I let this coalition fail. I'm all in. My partners in crime are all in at the university and across all of the partnerships that we have, and the partners are listed on the webpage. You can take a look, but really excited to be here and talk to you about the opportunity and hear from you about how we can help support you and how we might be able to engage and do some things like, many of us, myself, spends a lot of time going to meetings hosted by trade organizations about the needs. And that is, I'm always happy to talk, not surprising to many, but I'm also interested in the action. So I'm really excited to be able to do some things and get the ball rolling. And that includes, in our pathway process, that includes what I call K to the grave. You're never too old to enter the industry. You're never too young to learn about the industry. So really thinking about we in the coalition won't go to K, but middle school, high school type interactions through apprenticeships and other opportunities. We have pathways through community colleges to the 4-year schools and beyond. So really thinking about the different on and off ramps and who we can partner with. That was a lot.
That's great information. And some of the partnerships that you're looking at are partnerships, we have Mary Harris is here from Massasoit Community College, and also the vocational schools, and really partnering and getting out to the communities to talk with them. I think it's funny that you say K is kind of young, but I know in our school system, many of the others on the call here, we have STEM and STEAM as early as preschool at the Children's Museum, and then that carries through to our school. So just getting little kids excited about science and technology is really the way to start it, even at those really young ages, to get them, get them prepared. So We're not all going to go into biotechnology, but I think it's really exciting to open this up to our communities. I put in the chat some more information. So if organizations or communities themselves want to partner and be listed on the website, there's an email there to send your information, put your logo up there with the others, and great opportunity. So who has the first questions for Jared?
Hey, Jared, Jason, over here at the Workforce Board. So, and John Fay, I see you on this call here. Did you disappear? Jeez, I see I only see like 3 people, sorry.
I see
Screwing
John.
me all up.
He's there. You got him.
So the city has contacted us, and the city of Brockton itself has been kicking the tires on biotech for a number of years. And I guess the question I have is, I'd love to set something up after this, maybe where we could talk a little bit more in depth. But I guess the question is, what would be like the baseline skills for somebody that's coming into our offices that's either unemployed or underemployed and is looking to get back to work, not necessarily tomorrow, but in the near future? What kind of certifications or skills, or what kind of quick hits could we get them to take, or fund that would get them into the field, or at least get them on the ground floor somewhere? And again, if this is a longer answer, I'd love to have a conversation after this.
Well, I'd love to have a conversation regardless of my answer. So let's do that. I put my
Sure.
my personal email in the chat also there, or my work email in the chat there. So it's a great question. So I think, what we try to do in that context is really think of, people who teach, educators, like to over-inform, in my opinion. Like, let's give people just the key skills that they need to understand what they need to do, and then some things peripheral, but not overwhelm them with too much information. So some of the programs that we execute and deliver, some of our partners execute and deliver, really focus on a couple of main things. Some very basic math skills. I'm talking, I guess one would say basic algebra. I wouldn't call it algebra. We don't call it algebra when we teach, but basic algebra, right? Like 2x plus 5 equals 10. What is x?
I'm
Type
already
of thing.
out, Jared, so I guess I'm not in the field.
You can do it. It's a piece of cake. I can teach you in 2 minutes, and then you'll be in. So, but we provide that a basic chemistry, which is, it's more not like chemistry you might think about from high school, but like just information really to keep people safe. Like, if you see this, it means that. If you see this symbol, it means don't stick your hand in it, or something like that. So basic chemistry and understanding that, and then some basic biology around different things like cells and how they grow. But the main thing that we focus on teaching actually in the lab, and most of the entry level jobs sort of dissecting the space, are sterile technique, which is key. So how to work in an environment where you have to be sterile, and ensuring reproducibility, right? So we spend a lot of time talking about those concepts. So basic math, basic biology, basic chemistry, and a little hands-on training on how to maybe pipette or make a chemical solution. We can do that. I would say there's some really strong 10-week programs people can go through at some of the community colleges, through us and others, that really can get people on the right track. I mean, the apprenticeship program that we support from Mass BioEd is a great model. Now, people always say to me, "Oh, apprentices, that's like a 16th month thing, commitment. That's crazy." Well, yeah, it's a 16-month commitment, but it's 2.5 months of math, chemistry, biology, microbiology training online. It's 8 weeks in my lab for some of those skills I just mentioned. And then it's a 12-month job as an apprentice at a company where you're paid like an employee, right? So you're being trained on the job. So it's really not 16 months. It's like 4 months to a job. And then hopefully they hire you at the end of the year. But so in a good 10 weeks, we can get people up and running in sort of basic lab technician and basic biomanufacturing skills to be successful in the industry.
Jared, what did you say the names of those actual jobs were? or the entry level positions?
Biomanufacturing technician and a
Okay.
general laboratory technician. Also a quality control technician. So those three.
Perfect. Yeah, if we could follow up after this, that'd be great.
Absolutely love to do that.
Thank
Great.
you.
And just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and we will be sending out the link so we can go back and we'll have detailed notes for our minutes so people can go back and capture all of this. Pam, you've got a question.
Yes, I work in the town of Stoughton and I've been trying to do something to track biotech since 2018. But now, you know, I think I'm going to be able to work on it in the next few months, starting up again. I actually, there was a company that wanted to locate in Stoughton. The property owner ended up going to the zoning board of appeals because we didn't have the proper zoning in place.
Yeah.
So besides just educating people as to what training is necessary to actually work in the field, do you have any community education? Because the questions that came from the ZBA were very justifiable. You know, they want to know about the safety requirements and the oversight. Mass Bio actually was very helpful. They gave me a new brochure they came out with called Life Science Basics for Municipal Leaders. But I think what would be very helpful if we could connect communities that have already been through this process and say, we didn't have sludge pouring out of a building and we didn't have, you know, a leak of biomedical materials. That's the type of hurdle I think that you have to get over. And even the Board of Health, I'm kind of worried about their concerns they're going to have. I know they have to adopt, what is it, the Massachusetts Institute of Health regulations. I think they actually need to be educated about that too. So do you do that type of education?
We do. I actually have done that myself personally for the town of Burlington, Mass. And I laugh because I got those same exact questions from the different meetings I was at. Because at least in Burlington, there was some bad history of other industries from 60 years ago leaking stuff into the drinking water. But yeah, we absolutely do that and are happy to do that. Myself and others, but a lot of me right now am happy to talk to anybody about those things, because I think there's the workforce for sure. There's making sure people know science is for everyone, but it's also the part of the demystifying of the biotech space for me is exactly that. Like, you know, here's the safety stuff that we do. You know, this is what the industry means, right? Like, really getting communities and towns to really think about biotech as a safe and valuable partner in their communities.
Oh, that's great. That would be very helpful if we get that type of education.
If basically what I would say is hit me up and I'm happy to help.
All right, thank you very much.
That was a great question, Pam. I just put the link to that report from Mass Bio already, the municipal guide, into the chat. So if people want to take a look at that. Any other questions? Don't be shy.
I see Mary.
Towns. Sorry.
Go ahead,
Hi,
Jen.
I'm Mary Harris.
Mary.
Can you hear me? Is it
Yep.
all set? Okay. So yeah, so you know, Dottie and I were discussing this project last week, and it's definitely something that I know our institution would love to be a part of. You know, the apprenticeship model that you've described is very interesting. I'm wondering about thought processes behind you know, creating sort of the stackable credentials, because what you're describing, I think, is, you know, it's a great entry-level job, but we want to make sure that we're providing pathways, right? So how we can work with this initiative to create those very entry-level credentials, but also how we work collaboratively to ensure that there's a pathways pipeline, because Massasoit does want to be, you know, an asset to the Brockton community in attracting industry of this nature by ensuring that we have the workforce pipeline needed to sustain it.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So I think that's a key point for us is thinking about pipelines and stackability. So Massasoit might actually be a partner of ours anyway. I know that Liz Zulik is a good friend of mine and helps with all those relationships, the community college, because she's our associates to master's degree champion. But her and I worked together on that NSF STEM grant eons ago. So you're exactly right. It's all about stackability. So the apprentices get credit, can transfer some of their so they get a skill-based credential, they get a badge. That badge can link to direct credit in our programs at Northeastern and feed them into the degree completion in biotechnology program, bachelor program that can lead to a master's and beyond. But exactly right. I mean, I think it's all about stackability and how I work in an institution of higher education, but realistically, like, who wants to spend $750,000 to go to school and leave with like 2 skills that are not so useful? So really thinking about, I know I'm being recorded too. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I say it all the time, so it's all good. But really thinking about how we can have stackable things so that people know, like, maybe you're an apprentice, you go get that biomanufacturing job, and that's awesome. Okay, now you can take some of those credits and apply it to an associate's degree that can then link to a degree completion, bachelor's to a master's, and you can do that in your own time, right? I think the traditional, go to school for 4 years model is fine, but I think it needs to be more flexible than that. I think we need to think about where people are, where the learners are, and how we can empower them to enter the pathway, get a job, and then progress through the pathway at their own speed and in their own time. So 100% on board with that, and would love to do something more formal with Massasoit if that's of interest.
Well, I think most definitely we would be interested in furthering this conversation. I did invite our STEM coordinator to this meeting, but he wasn't able to join us today.
Fantastic. Would love to do that. I mean, I think the stigma around certain things needs to go away. Like a lot of people are like, ooh, community colleges, why would you go there? Because that's where you get the real training, folks. Like, that's why you would go there. So we want to really empower those programs and that they can be stacked.
I just wanted to add, and John, you can speak next. I just wanted to add that one of the big priorities, the #1 priority in these EDA grants is equity. And one of the things that really was appealing to me when I first started talking with Jared is he had mentioned already talking about empowering people and supporting them with mental health and the tools, whether it's childcare or any kind of tools they need to be effective in the workforce, but also the matter of equity and getting people that traditionally would not go this pathway to get them excited and involved. And, in our area, the demographics are really important to this project as well, to make sure that we're getting outreach to people that may not speak English as a first language, or like all of the different groups out here through our whole region, to make sure that they are part of this, a very strong part of this, this project. So John, go ahead, you're up.
We are in Brockton, we're working on trying to adopt.
I think we lost you, John. We lost you for a second there.
Start over, John, because we lost a lot of what you were saying.
So we are trying to get platinum status here in Brockton as Mass Bio. Wondering if you have any insight on how US lacks the Board of Health regulations, how much that can affect the industry in a town. You don't really necessarily have subject matter experts on our board, and we're looking, we might have to farm out. Wondering if you've seen any pattern to where a community that does have subject matter experts and has really strenuous perform better, or whether they perform worse as opposed to towns who aren't really. Might be a little off topic.
So I think I caught the gist of it. But if not, I'm happy to follow up too. I mean, I think regardless of the subject matter experts in the town, I mean, I don't think I've seen any trends in how that plays out. But part of the coalition's job is to help serve as some of those subject matter experts for municipalities who need them. So, you know, we're happy to help in that sense also.
Great. So we are right at 1 o'clock, and just to be respectful of everybody's time and for Jared's time, we're really grateful that you were able to spend some time with us for a half hour, and we will work together to try to set up, you know, some future meetings and maybe something a little bit longer of a webinar to bring more people into the fold. And in the meantime, Joanne will send out the link to this, the minutes, and also everything in the chat, and we'll have some resources there as follow up, and feel free to reach out to Jared directly. Please keep OCPC, me and Joanne, in the loop, because we want to really make sure that we're doing a good job to help support this project with convening people. And thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Dottie, and thanks everyone. It was great to be here, and absolutely send me emails. I look forward to chatting.
Great. Thank you, Jared.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple quick things before we adjourn. Does anybody have any other business? If not, I'll open it up. Any public comments? Oh,
Yep,
Joanne-
John, I've
Joanne?
just got, yep, just a couple quick notes. I wanted
Okay.
to let folks know that on the OCPC CEDS website, we have now posted the annual report for the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. There is this year's as well as last year's. So if you want to see what progress we've made against the strategy, you can check that out. I'll pop the link into the chat right now. Also, in addition to that, the funding that we get from the Economic Development Administration to be the economic development district for our region, part of which time supports me, has been renewed as well too. So we're on to our next 3-year cycle with that. And while mine has been renewed, we are also still waiting to see whether we'll get additional funding for economic development projects that will continue to support the work that Dottie's been doing. So we'll keep you guys posted on that as well. That's all I've got.
Hey, thank you, Joanne.
My business card.
Chris?
Quick,
Chris?
yeah, John, just quick, great content today. I've been multitasking, but just a couple of quick things. We have a regional business after hours in Norwood this Thursday evening at the Space Building there, and everyone's open, invited to that. It's gonna be 3 chambers meeting. It's a great space. It's the redevelopment of an old building. Mike Giuliano, who's a Brockton developer, is partner in that, and he has really done amazing work there to redevelop that site. So we've done, actually, this group did a tour of it not long ago just to see some of it up close. And so that's open if you'd like to visit. That's Thursday at 5 o'clock. And then we have Athena Awards, Women in Leadership Awards on Friday. We are close to sold out. We're capping it at 150. We've got 142 people registered. If there's some folks from here that would like to attend, let me know. And we've got a couple of tables provided by sponsors, so we're happy to try to squeeze you in. And of course, the recipient is Phyllis Ellis, the head of the NAACP from Brockton. And so we're delighted to be honoring her leadership in the region. And I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Anyone else? If not, any public comment? So hearing none, I just want to remind everybody the next meeting is scheduled for September 13th at noon. And then our meeting after that will be on December 13th. So if you could jot those down, we really appreciate everybody's attendance. I think this was a really good meeting. But hearing any other, no other comments, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Pam. Any second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.